Tensions on Israel's northern border with Lebanon have also been escalating. The Israel Defense Forces have been engaged in cross-border fire with the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah, which has been firing rockets into northern Israel almost daily. Tens of thousands of people on both sides of the border have been displaced. Residents of northern Israel say Hezbollah must be pushed back to protect communities from its rockets. Many say it's only a matter of time before a full-scale confrontation. Rebecca Britters reports from the town of Metula.
A town devoid of people. Metula, just one example of the many abandoned communities along Israel's northern border with Lebanon. A soldier shows me around part of the evacuated town. Damage by missile and anti-tank fire is visible almost everywhere. About 1/3 of the homes in Metula have been struck so far.
Metula is one of the most dangerous towns along the Lebanese-Israeli border. It's surrounded by Lebanon on 1, 2, 3 sides and is hit almost daily by anti-tank missile fire. In fact, we're told we have to keep on the move because we're actually in the direct line of sight of Hezbollah fighters.
Just as we're wrapping up, there's a rocket alert and we have to take cover.
You right?
Another heavy barrage nearby. The military confirms around 65 rockets were fired into the area, one of the biggest strikes since the war began. Mayor David Azulai says rockets aren't even the biggest threat here.
The main threat against Metula is anti-tank missiles. They are missiles that have no warning system. We can't stop them.
Azulai is one of a few residents who stayed behind, part of a civil defence team who are working with the military to protect the area. Israeli officials have said for months that Hezbollah need to be pushed back from the border, a strategy the people living in these parts agree is the only option.
Residents won't return here without fighting, without the removal of Hezbollah from the fence. We saw the horrors of October 7th in the south, and therefore there's no other choice. We don't want war, but we simply have no other choice.
Residents like Carmel Renat feel the same. She and her family left their home in another border village on October 7th and haven't been back.
I think we have to see a change. Something must change because we left our house without nothing.
The family has spent the past 7 months in a hotel and only now moved into this house, about 40 kilometres away, deep inside the government-designated safe zone. Carmel says without military action to push Hezbollah back, she won't risk returning home with her kids.
There is no option with no war. We must feel all the citizens of the north border or the northern border confidence again, which we are not. It will end this situation of uncertainty. Right now we are living in a big uncertainty. And how long can people live like that? So we must see something.
It's a position held by so many as diplomatic efforts to broker a truce continue to fail. Hezbollah insists that so long as Israel refuses to end its campaign in Gaza, it will continue targeting positions in Israel's north. No matter what happens, these communities are changed forever, with people putting roots down in new places, while Israel's northern border turns, for now, into no man's land.
And let's cross now to Beirut for our Bureau Chief, Mohammed Shreiter. Could you talk us through the latest updates of the situation on the Lebanese side of the border?
Well, Ben, allow me to pick up from where the report ended. This is a key element to analyse and understand the situation on the Lebanese-Israeli border. So Hezbollah has been clear about its intention that the ceasefire in Gaza is the key to any solution in southern Lebanon. So as of now, the daily exchange of fire between Hezbollah and the Israeli army did not stop since October 8, except for some time during the truce in Gaza last November. But since then, the military confrontation is a daily routine, even though in an inconsistent pace and intensity. But a new round of escalation started last Sunday, since then Hezbollah is announcing that it is carrying out at least 9 to 12 military operations on Israeli positions and Israeli towns along the border with Lebanon, and that's per day, compared to 3 to 6 daily operations last week only. And this comes, of course, with extensive fire force from the Israeli army, who've been carrying airstrikes, like heavy airstrikes on Lebanese towns. It is worth noting that this scenario of escalation has been we've been repeatedly seeing this simultaneously with every round of talks about a potential truce deal in Gaza.
The Israeli defense minister warned of a precarious summer ahead. What are you hearing from people in Lebanon?
Well, there are mixed feelings and expectations about a large-scale war in Lebanon. Unlike what we've seen and listened to in the report from residents in northern Israel, the majority of Lebanese, and mainly those who used to live in the southern town in southern Lebanon, and mainly where Hezbollah has extensive support, they don't want to go to war, and they don't expect a large-scale war. They do echo Hezbollah's leadership in saying that this is not our war, and what is happening in the south is limited and calculated attacks to support Gaza. Now, there's a lot of public and political divide on whether it did support Gaza or not, and on the fact that Hezbollah solely took the decision to launch military operations on Israel without consensus and without consulting his partners in the government. But there we are, with daily cross-border shelling and some 100,000 Lebanese refugees from homes and towns in south of Lebanon, just like in the north of Israel. It is by far a no man's land.
DW's Mohammed Trader there. Thank you for chiming in.